Hello, my name is Diana Thomas, and I'll be demonstrating how to use the body roundness calculator. I'll also be telling you a little bit about what the calculator informs us about health, and I'll also be telling you a little bit about the mathematical models behind the calculator. To begin with, you'll see a series of data inputs that you can manipulate. At the top, you'll see units, which represents either US standard units in feet and pounds, or you could also use metric units to input your data, which is in centimeters and kilograms. Let's keep it as US for now. And then you'd go in and change all of these fields to data that your own data. For example, if you're a male, you'd select male here, and then you'd select your race, your age, your height, and your weight, and also here you see waist in. This represents your waist circumference in inches. So you can raise or lower that. Now if you are unsure of how to measure your waist circumference, under the frequently asked questions, we have a link to a video that demonstrates how you can measure your waist circumference. Next to the waist inch, you see a hip measure. What this is a measurement of hip circumference, which not all individuals have. So if you don't have that, you can deselect. If you do have that, you can select and input it. The reason you might want to input this data is that our models are more accurate if we have hip circumference in addition to waist circumference. Now, as you are making these changes, you saw probably the most visible thing is the graphical assessment at the very bottom changing. The graphical assessment represents, first of all, this black curve represents your oval based on the data that you input for yourself. It's based off of your height and your circumference. The green shaded region represents a healthy region of roundness. So right now, with the data that I've input, the black curve is outside the region of roundness, or out of the healthy zone. In the text box, you'll see that you were classified as out of the healthy zone. The text box also gives you some numbers. You see a fat, 33.6%. That's the percent fat prediction off of these inputs. And VAT represents visceral adipose tissue, and this is a percent of belly fat of the inputs that I just put in, and you see that it came out to 5.7%. You also have the standard body mass index output, which clocked us as 30, which is classified as obese. So changing these numbers around will change the values in the text box, and they also will change the graphical assessment. Now you'll notice that if I was very heavy and I started decreasing my waist circumference, eventually what's going to happen is I'm going to come up with a combination that's not realistic. This will be flagged by the text box, which indicates that I've just input physically unrealistic input data. So you can play around with this. One of the nice things that you can do with this is you can say if you're out of the healthy zone, you can set some goals by reducing that waist circumference and seeing how small your waist has to be to move you into this healthy zone. So the models that you see that predict these numerical values are based off of the data that you input, which are called covariates. It's based off of not only your gender, your race, your age, your height, but it's also dependent on how round you are. So all of this is input into a model which is used to predict the percent fat and the percent visceral adipose tissue. The graphical portion of the calculator comes from making an oval around your body, and the height of this oval comes from your height, and the width of this oval comes from your circumference. This may be waist circumference or hip circumference. The body roundness score comes from a number that was developed by Johannes Kepler, the astronomer, who determined how close an ellipse is to being a circle, and he called this number eccentricity. This number is used to determine the roundness score and also generate the images at the bottom of the body roundness calculator. This completes the video tutorial for the body roundness calculator. If you have more questions, we also have a frequently asked questions tab that you can click. You can also contact me at thomasdia@mail.montclair.edu.